Okay, hi guys. So we're gonna be having our final physics examination for semester 1 next week. So I thought I would at least give you a rundown how we should answer some of the questions. Actually, just one of the questions. But before that, let me just give you a bit more detail on the exam. You only sit for one paper, and it should be able to be completed in 1.5 hours. Right, so first of all, the section A, we will have 20 objective questions. Section B, you have 3 subjective questions. And section C, you'll have 1 subjective question. Okay, so all of this you have to answer. Objective, I don't think I need to go through with it with you guys, because obviously you guys are already used to objective questions. Subjective will not be too hard, you'll be able to answer it. It's pretty much asking questions and you just answer that. But section C, you probably never have actually encountered this type of question before. So section C, actually, here's an example for what you can expect. Do note that in like full SPM paper, this is only like sub question C of like a question only. Right, so let's see. Table 12 shows the characteristics of filament in a light bulb. Alright, you are asked to investigate the characteristics of the materials for making the light bulb filament. Now the task is actually explain the suitability of each characteristic. That's 1. And determine which material is most suitable to be used to make the light bulb. Alright, so obviously you guys have not really gone through this subtopic yet, but I just decided to bring it up so that you will have a general idea. So basically this question asks, which among all this PQRS, which one should we choose to make a light bulb? And then we have to consider 4 factors, which is diameter of your filament, number of coils, specific heat capacity, and melting point. Don't worry if you don't understand what specific heat capacity or melting point means right now. Right, so ideally for a light bulb, okay, we're just straight away gonna discuss the answer. So for light bulb, we want, how does the light bulb work? Basically, you run electricity through a wire. This is for the old Edison light bulb. You run electricity through a wire, and what happens is the resistance in the wire will cause the filament to heat up. It will heat up, and it will actually get so hot that it produces light. Okay, so the whole idea for a good light bulb is we want this filament to have high we want it to have high resistance. Okay, so now let's go through each of these factors. So diameter of the filament. What you learn, or what you have learned, is that the smaller the diameter, the larger the resistance. So obviously we're actually trying to find something that is small here. Okay, so comparing all this, because all of these numbers are different, we should actually just compare it, like rank them. See, the smallest one would be this one. Let's just give it number 1. The second smallest one would be this one, P. Let's give it number 2. And the third would be S, 3, and 4. So obviously Q and S is too big, right? Because look at this, it is by a magnitude of what? Alright, so next factor is number of coils. Alright, so the longer the wire, the higher the resistance. So if you have more coils, therefore you will have higher resistance, kan? So which one will be the one that you will choose? The one with 50 or 100? Obviously, we'll choose the one with 100. So we'll take whichever has 100 here. Now, specific heat capacity. Specific heat capacity in simple terms is how fast something can heat up or cool down. So for a light bulb, you obviously want it to be very fast, right? Because if it takes a long time for the light bulb to heat up, that means it'll take a long time for a light bulb to produce light. So the lower the specific heat capacity, the faster something can change its temperature. So we want something with low specific heat capacity. Alright, now melting point. Obviously, if we have a too low of a light melting point for the filament, what will happen? This filament will melt and circuit will break, and there will be no electricity flowing, and hence no more light. So we want something which is obviously high. Okay, so now compare. So we want to determine which material is more suitable. So let's have a look. Okay, so which one actually satisfy all our requirements? Right? So let's have a look at these three first. So we have R, which is the smallest one, and then is the highest number of coils. High number of coils, low specific heat capacity, and high melting point. So it will take all four of our conditions, right? So obviously we should choose R. Okay, we won't choose the rest because look at this. This Q and R, S would not be ideal because they have low number of coils. S also would not be ideal because of the specific heat capacity. So obviously you have to see which answer do you have. You have to see all four of these factors and pick the best one. Usually for SPM it's very straightforward. Okay, they won't play tricks with you like have all of these only satisfy three out of the four conditions. Usually it'll be very easy, very straightforward, where you obviously have one that is the clear choice because all of it is what you want. If you find that you're in a situation where, let's say, for example, your choice is like Q, but it only satisfies half of the criteria, then you know that you might be choosing something wrong. Okay, but before we go on to how to answer, here's a quick tip on how you should actually do this question. Just with, for example, let me just erase this. I can answer these questions just by looking at two of the conditions. Let's focus on these two. So we know that we want high number of coils, so just take high number of coils, and since this one Q and S have low number of coils, we can just cross them out and we don't really need to consider them anymore. S on the other hand is specific heat capacity. On the other hand, which one do we want to choose? We want to choose R because P has a high specific heat capacity, so we cancel P, and obviously the last choice is R. Okay, this is just so that you can you're able to decide which one to choose in a very short time. Okay, so let me pick this. Now the question is, how do we answer this question? Like the first time, usually when students encounter this question, they always answer it in like an essay. Let's say, for example, you write we want small diameter, or small diameter, large number of coils, and so on. Okay, this actually I wouldn't recommend because it is ineffective. It's not to say wrong, but it's less effective. Okay, Another common thing that some students do is they name which one they choose first. I'll advise you guys not to do that, because sometimes the examiner, if they see you choose, let's say for example this question, okay, the filament that we choose, filament of choice is Q, okay, and then reasoning because blah 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 blah. Okay, sometimes people say, okay, filament choice Q, wrong, so everything wrong, you lose 10 points. Lose out on 10 marks. Even though some of your arguments are correct, if you choose the wrong one and state in the beginning that you chose the wrong one, then no one's going to be interested in reading the rest, because they know your answer is wrong. The proper way to do it is explain the features first, okay? So what, let's say we want small diameter, and then after that high resistance, and so on, and then after that, then you choose I choose, for example, let's say if I chose the wrong answer, Q. Alright, so this, although your answer is wrong, you still can get marks from your reasoning over here. If you explain these features and manage to get one or two of them, you can get a few marks from there. But do not start off the answer by saying what you choose, because if you choose the wrong one, then some examiners can just go, okay, no, I'm not even going to mark that. Right, now speaking of answering correctly, now we're gonna go through how I would recommend you guys to answer. Alright, so first of all, you're given a table here, so answer by giving them back a table. Alright, okay, I'm going to show you two different type of tables. You can choose which one. You have feature, and then you have reason, or explanation, justification. Alright, so the first one, feature, will say small diameter of filament, okay, because we want something with small diameter, right? Explanation, why? Small diameter means higher resistance, okay? Then the second one will be more or large number of coils. Again, reasoning is higher resistance. The third factor is low specific heat capacity. I'm just writing short form, okay? And then reasoning for this, it gets hot faster. And then the last one will be high melting point. Again, I'm just using shortcuts, but in the test do not. Alright, you want something high melting point, because why not? Does not easily melt. Alright, so this is one of the tables you can do. Another table, which, remember, the easier you make it for the marker to mark your paper, the more likely they'll, if you make them, you need to answer correctly regardless, but make it easier for them, so it's easier for them to see where you're correct. Okay, another way you can do it is put a pretty similar choice and explanation. Right, so this one, instead of choosing which feature you want first, we're just gonna basically copy these factors over here. Okay, so the first one would be diameter of filament, and then number of coils, and then specific heat capacity and melting point. Alright, so what do you want for diameter? You want something small. You want why? High resistance. Okay, number of coils, you want more or large, whichever. Why? High resistance also. Okay, and then specific heat capacity, we want low. And then why? Gets hot faster. And melting point, we want high. Why? Okay, so between the first table and second table, I prefer the second table because it's very clear which one you're going to choose. Okay, so like this: diameter small, number of coils large, specific capacity low, and melting point high. And the explanation is the same as the other one. Okay, so after you do your table, make sure you also state, because this is a two-part question: determine the characteristics and then determine material most suitable. So which one should you choose? And then most suitable material is R. Okay, because don't forget they ask you to explain, so you actually have to. I'm writing in capital, but in exams please don't. Because why? All you need to do is small diameter filament, more number of coils, low specific heat capacity. Again, I'm just using short form, and melting point. Okay, so you need to actually write what you choose and why. The reason why is actually all over here. That's basically this part of your table. Just copy that and put it down. Small diameter filament, more number of coils, low specific capacity, high melting point. And then you will get, if you answer like this, you will get a full 10 marks. Let me actually show you what the marking scheme looks like. We also get in a table, so it's easier to think that if you answer in a table, it's easier for us to mark, right? So the answer is like this. Let me show you how much mark this would get, for example. Right, how they mark it is you choose between, we have two parts of this: feature and explanation. Oh, this feature, explanation. So small filament, small diameter filament, we want it small. Okay, correct. So that is 1 mark. And if you get a proper reasoning or explanation, you also get correct. Same goes for the rest. All right. Okay, so for example, here's a thing: if you were to like state the correct feature, but the explanation is wrong, you will only get like 1 mark here, and you won't get a mark here. Okay, you need the feature to be correct and then the explanation correct, then you get 2 marks for that point. So you can see this table is a total of 8 marks, right? This one also the same. So this will be 1, 1, 1, 1, and the follow-up. Alright, also 8 marks. Now, to get the full 10 marks, you need to choose. This choosing will get you 1 mark. And then your reason, because this part will also get you another mark. So in total, you would get 10 marks, right? And that's actually how you answer this question for your exam next week. By the way, sometimes you can see here we use the word small. We did not, and over here we use the word more or large. We did not use 100 or 50, or in the small case we didn't use all of these numbers. You need to generalize it, okay? Because sometimes some students, instead of writing small, they will write 1.9 times 10 to the power of minus 2 or something like that. And then what will happen is we have to figure out, what does this mean? Does this mean you want something big, or do you want something small? You're only telling us you want this one, but we don't know why you want this one. Okay? So try to avoid writing this, but choose like small, more, larger, low, high. Alright? Another thing is, sometimes, most of the time you get really nice factors over here, like 100, 100, 50, 50. But for this case over here, you can see all of these numbers are different. Okay? So what I recommend, you rank them 1, 2, 3, 4. Because sometimes, in some cases, the answer may not be the lowest one. It may be the second lowest one, or second highest, or that one. You just have to see, right? So it doesn't mean that, let's say this one's not the lowest, doesn't mean you can cancel out it immediately. You have to check the rest. For example, if these two factors are correct and one of this is wrong or something, then obviously, even though this is a smaller one, we would still choose P. Okay? Right, I think that covers everything for your section C for this semester exam. If you have any questions, you can still message me. Alright? And also for your exams, you will be answering it in Google Forms, right? So you won't have a problem with section A and section B, but section C, you're gonna have to write a table, right? So what I will want you guys to do is write this table on a piece of paper, write your answers, make sure you have your name and class clearly on the paper, take a picture and upload the picture as the answer for this question inside the Google form. Okay? Alright, that is all. So thank you.